Hello, I'm Jono and welcome to another delightful off-the-cuff video showing work in progress on my video game that I'm developing. Basically, a lot's happened since the last one and a lot of sleepless nights trying to fix things. I'll talk about all that stuff in a minute, but the first thing I should say is that I've got audio working with Wwise. So it was just a very basic test. My Wise project is growing considerably, but I needed to make sure I could play events and stop events and various things like that. And what you are hearing right now is a wind background sound, and it's being, well, I built it from Wise. So when I do some videos on that kind of stuff, all of that will become more apparent. But it's a big thing getting it integrated. It means it's not using the audio out of Unity, which is the game engine I'm using, by the way. Okay, so this video is not on the audio, but I thought I'd just mention that because that is actually a huge thing to get going. But let's talk about the gameplay elements that I've added. And as the main player, you are going to have to traverse around somewhere called Bearback Mountain, and it's a beautiful yet very dangerous place. It's full of all sorts of unsavoury types, and again, I'm not going to go into details of all of that stuff, but when you're exploring a world, I don't know about you, but I need to know where I'm going, and I want to know where I'm going to find things. So for me personally, I really wanted to put in a compass and a mini-map, which is exactly what I've actually just been implementing. So let's have a look at the screen. Welcome to Bearback Mountain, obviously. At the very top, we now have a compass. Again, work in progress. I might change the style of it and stuff like that over time, but functionality right now is more of a paramount thing for me to actually get working. So as you can see, we have a compass at the top, and when you turn with a player, it will navigate towards or gravitate towards compass bearings such as north, south, east, west. I have in the top right a mini map as well, and I'll talk more about that in a second. So let's just go back to the compass. Now, it's all good having a compass, but when you find areas or places of interest, I think we could call them, then we're going to want them to show on the compass, and maybe on the mini-map. It depends. I'm still working on a gameplay idea of this, but let's actually turn the character around, and all of a sudden, if you look at the compass at the top, let's get rid of my mouse, we can now see a little yellow arrow, which I got so excited about when it started working. And if I keep going, you see a bigger arrow, and what this means is on distance the icons get bigger and smaller. So that one there, if you dead center it with where you are, it tells you the distance as well, which is useful. At the moment, this is only for testing, but I have this set up so it will, if there are any points of interest in the entirety of the game, or in the area of the game, because there might be, I'm not going to say, but there might be many different areas, then I don't want them all to reveal straight away, or you can just find them, right? So it takes the fun out of it. So, but at the minute, I've just done this as an example to show you it working. So obviously we've got this one here that's 241 meters away, and then here's the bigger one, which is denoting it's closer, which is 57 meters. So let's go forward. And what happens now is we get closer and closer, gets bigger and bigger, and you can see a little white arrow at the moment on the actual terrain, on the ground. I've put it here just as a test. So the closer we get, and this is my favourite part, suddenly it disappears, and at the top, Bearback Cabin discovered. And what this is going to mean is that an audio like sting, a piece of music might happen, very short piece, just to actually enforce to the player that you've actually found an area of a point of interest. So it's also come off the compass, which I think is important, otherwise the compass would just get clogged up. So we'll come back to that in a minute. As you can see, my cabin roof now has snow on it because I've been learning about shaders, and I have shaded snow on the cabin. Still don't know what's in the cabin. Anyway, right, okay, so here's probably a good idea to talk about the mini-map. okay, we've got our small little arrow, and at the moment we can align it and say, okay, 208 meters, that's not too far away. So we can look at the mini map as well, and you can see it reflects exactly what's on the terrain as well. So we're going underneath this sign at the moment. I haven't put much work into the mini map and having areas and labels and stuff, but all of that's going to happen. I just feel like there's no point in doing things in half measures, which is why I'm learning how to make a game without learning how to code. It's ridiculous. Anyway, I have two options really for it is personal preference. I'll probably put this in the game menu, of which you can access all controls, but I'll probably have the compass so you can either have it as it is now and it stays static, or it will rotate with the player, which if you're map reading in real life, that's what you would actually do. You'd orientate it. I used to be in the army, just in case you're wondering how I learned how to read maps. Okay, so anyway, I digress slightly. Let's follow this yellow arrow. I've redone all the vegetation and the terrain as well in the past couple of weeks or 9 days or whatever it's been. It's been a nightmare. But I feel like it needed a facelift, and all the weather and stuff. Anyway, right, so I'm very close to the actual point of interest, 34 meters, and I just put this in here just as a demonstration again, but let's say that we're walking towards it and suddenly Bearback Crossroads discovered. And then when I've set this up, the map will be able to go full screen. I don't want to talk too much about that because I have a system that I want to use, like to actually show like it will integrate with what the player actually is doing. But yeah, that is the first massive thing that's happened to the game. Now, another massive thing that's happened, and I got this working today. Now, Bearback Mountain is a very scenically beautiful place, although harrowing and freezing cold. But one thing I really wanted to implement was interactive grass. For a few reasons, for sound design as well, because I just love the idea of it. But I hate when you walk through grass in first-person games and nothing happens. So this is exactly why this is going to happen. And if I walk through, you can see the grass is moving, and then if I turn around, you can see the grass suddenly pops back up. And at the moment I have it set to a real slow setting like this. It's using physics to actually mimic it all moving. Well, it is actually moving, but it's mimicking leaving a trail. Now, at first I didn't want to leave an actual trail because I thought of realism, but when the grass and everything is actually moving so much in a scene, it's kind of quite hard to see it, so I thought it might be quite fun to have a trail. Also, it could lead to gameplay decisions. I'm not saying stealth, but you know, so you can see the grass is moving when I'm going through it, which is nice. And then if I turn around, you can see it's all being flattened and then comes back up. I'm so stoked about this. I just feel like it connects the player just so much more than just randomly running through grass and then nothing happening. Also, I'm trying to figure out an audio system so when I actually walk through 3D, they're called 3D meshes, 3D detail meshes. I'm trying to figure out a way of when I collide into the actual 3D meshes, it can then send out an event into Wwise, so I can therefore set up an audio system. So if you're going through long grass, short grass, snowy grass, wet grass, elephant grass, whatever, I've got all sorts of grass, but I'm trying to figure out a way of doing that, and it's kind of tricky, but probably need some outside help with some coders, but you know, only because I'm making a game by myself doesn't mean that I'm going to do everything by myself, because let's face it, I want to release this before I die, and yeah. Anyway, so that's a massive thing. Obviously that grass going through these boxes looks rubbish, so I'm going to have to sort all that out. Obviously I showed this before, we can pick up and grab. I've been playing again with another shader, and I've put snow on the top of these boxes, which I love this kind of detail. Something I might implement, I probably will implement this, is when I actually throw an element into grass, it will react. But at the moment, I have to apologise for my sloppiness. It's not working like that. And also another thing that I haven't actually decided on positions of GUI and stuff like this. My weapons at the moment overlap with the compass, so obviously that's not going to happen, but you know, like I said, there's only so much time in a day. It's exhausting making a game. I think that that's everything. Obviously the lighting's not dialed in yet, but you can see it's volumetric. And I've been playing around with different settings of, you know, daytime and nighttime, and I do have some preferences, and it's incredible how I can turn this game just straight into a horror game just by turning it to a nighttime vibe. So there's probably going to be some of that. Oh god, it never gets old. I love that so much. The mini-map as well could be higher res, but it will hit performance if I do. I'm kind of feeling like the resolution of it is actually like good enough. Obviously the GUI, the weapons and stuff is just placeholder at the minute. As I said, it's just oh man, it's so much work doing it by yourself, but I am getting there. Anyway, hopefully you've enjoyed this video. A lot's happening and changing, and I'm really pleased with the progress of this. So I'm going to do another video soon to show more progression. If you like this video, hit like and subscribe, and then you can follow the antics I'm getting up to with this game. So I'm going to document it all the way through. So there's going to be a lot more, and I'm going to start actually doing videos on how to actually do stuff. It's just right now I'm just trying to actually figure out a lot myself. So yeah, it also, if you hit like and subscribe, it also shares and spreads the word that I'm making a game that's eventually going to be put on Steam, which is going to be an awesome thing to try and pull off. Anyway, till the next.